There's a certain kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much you've done and everything to do with how much you've been carrying. The mental clutter, the emotional noise, the pressure to keep up, say yes, stay connected, stay productive even when a part of you is quietly begging for stillness. This isn't just burnout, it's a deeper signal, a sign that somewhere along the way you stopped living with intention and started operating on autopilot. And now the cost is beginning to show. The Stoics warned us about this. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or do only what's essential and do it with intention." That's the mindset we're stepping into today. This isn't about trying harder. It's about eliminating distractions. It's about identifying and removing the small habits that silently sabotage your peace, your focus, and your personal power. In this video, we'll explore 9 habits, simple things, small changes. But over time, they carry significant weight. And if you've been feeling scattered, stuck, or not quite like yourself lately, chances are one of these habits might be the reason why. If you find value in content that speaks to the core of what really matters, do me one small favor. Hit that subscribe button. It helps keep this space going and helps more people like you find their way back to stillness. Now let's get into it. Some days life doesn't feel like a journey. It feels like a chase. You wake up and before you've even had a moment to breathe, you're already sprinting. Your phone lights up, someone's already upset. Your mind races through a list of tasks. Suddenly you're no longer living. You're dodging. You're responding to texts, brushing off stress, reacting to every unexpected situation that comes your way. That's not progress, that's survival mode. And over time, that constant reactivity begins to wear you down. You start confusing movement with meaning. You begin mistaking exhaustion for effort. But the truth is, you weren't made to live like that. Stoicism teaches us that there is something within you that cannot be touched by chaos, a stronghold that cannot be shaken by noise or pressure from the outside world. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel. It is the unshakable part of your soul that doesn't rise or fall with fortune. And the truth is that inner citadel is already inside you. It always has been. You don't have to earn it. You just have to stop letting the world walk all over it. Every time you let someone's opinion control your emotions or let your inbox dictate how your day starts, you're handing over the keys to that sacred inner space. Why does this happen? Socrates once said, "To find yourself, think for yourself." But how can you think for yourself when your attention is constantly being pulled in every direction? When your energy is scattered, it becomes nearly impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone your deeper instincts. That's what modern life is designed to do. Scatter you, fragment your attention, break your focus, take control of your time and mind. It's as if your nervous system is always on standby for the next wave of chaos. But here's the powerful truth. You don't have to answer every call. Think of your mind as a still body of water. Every notification, every angry comment, every delay is just a stone thrown into it. But the water always settles if you let it. You are not the splash. You are the stillness beneath it. Carl Jung once wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? That's what Stoicism helps us do. It trains us to stop chasing calm in the middle of chaos and start finding calm through character. Because responding from within will always be more powerful than reacting to what's outside. Plato believed that the soul had 3 parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. When you live on autopilot, your appetite takes over. Your impulses drive the ship. But when you pause, when you breathe before you speak, when you hold back before sending that angry message, that's reason stepping in. That's you aligning with your higher self. Let's be honest, reactivity is easy. It takes no strength to lash out to panic or to shift blame. But it takes wisdom to pause. It takes discipline to reflect. It takes real power to choose your response, especially when emotion is pulling you in the opposite direction. That's what the Stoics were really about. Not about suppressing emotion, but about mastering it. Not about pretending that the world doesn't shake you, but about refusing to let it break you. It's wild how easily we fall into the habit of expecting the worst. It sneaks in quietly. Maybe something went wrong. Maybe someone let you down. And without even noticing, you begin forming this quiet belief that life is out to get you, that people can't be trusted, that success is for others. that nothing ever works out. Before long, those thoughts aren't just occasional, they become your default setting. And that is dangerous. Because when your baseline belief becomes "this probably won't work," that belief starts to shape your reality. Not because life actually got worse, but because your perception did. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," and he meant it. Think long enough in a dark shade and the world starts to feel dim, even if the sun is shining. That's how perception works. It's not passive, it's creative. Your thoughts don't just mirror your world, they help build it. Aristotle taught that we are what we repeatedly do, but it's also true that we become what we repeatedly think. You can't expect peace if you're always warning yourself that the storm is coming. You can't expect love if you're always preparing for betrayal. If your hands are always clenched in defense, they won't be open to receive anything else. So let's break this illusion. Thinking negatively doesn't make you wise or realistic. It makes you closed. It narrows your vision. It blinds you to connection, to opportunity, to joy. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That inner voice that says they don't really like you or this will never work isn't prophecy. It's just an old script, and you have the power to rewrite it. Plato taught that true knowledge begins with knowing how little we actually know. That includes the stories we tell ourselves about other people and about the future. What if they aren't out to get you? What if this time actually works? What if your mind has been lying to you, not to hurt you, but to protect you from a past that's already over? We forget this. The brain's primary job isn't truth, it's survival. It's constantly scanning for danger. That's helpful when you're in a threatening situation, but it's crippling when you're trying to grow. Stoicism invites us to take a step back from our emotions and ask better questions. Is this thought useful? Is it true, or is it just noise? There's also this strange comfort we find in delay. We tell ourselves that tomorrow is where things will finally change. Tomorrow we'll wake up earlier. Tomorrow we'll start the diet. Tomorrow we'll have the hard conversation, chase the dream, or break the pattern. But tomorrow becomes the storage closet where we stuff all our unfinished intentions. And then we wonder why life starts to feel so crowded on the inside. Here's the part we don't like to admit. Tomorrow doesn't exist. It's just an idea, a soft cushion we use to avoid the hard truth that we're scared to take action today. Marcus Aurelius, writing nearly 2,000 years ago, captured it perfectly. You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. That line lands hard because deep down, we know it's true. We know we could start now, we could take the first step, but instead we scroll, we postpone, we talk ourselves out of it, and then we wonder why nothing ever changes. Carl Jung also said procrastination is the thief of time, and he was right, because while you're waiting for the perfect moment, life is quietly passing by. Start today, start now, your future begins the moment you decide to stop waiting. But more than anything, procrastination is the thief of identity. Every time you delay what truly matters, you reinforce a version of yourself that plays small, a version that avoids discomfort, that trades long-term gain for short-term ease. The cost is not just wasted time, it is wasted potential, wasted courage, and wasted life. Stoicism is brutally honest about this. Time, they remind us, is not something we own. It is something we borrow. Epictetus put it plainly, while you delay, life speeds on. That is the hard truth. The Stoics accepted that every moment you're given is a moment you will never get back. Not in a dark or morbid way, but in a motivational one. Knowing that time is always slipping away makes the present moment sacred. It becomes a fire under your feet, not a shadow on your back. Now think about this. If you carried a backpack full of golden hours, literal glowing hours of your life, and every day someone reached in and took a few handfuls without asking, how long would it take before you clutched that bag a little tighter? How long before you stopped handing it out so carelessly? That is what happens every single day. The only difference is the thief is invisible. It shows up as distraction. It hides in self-doubt. It sneaks in as delay. Socrates once said, beware the barrenness of a busy life, because we often confuse activity with progress. We fill our days with errands updates and endless to-do lists. But busyness doesn't always mean we're moving forward. There's a difference between motion and meaning, a difference between being busy and becoming something better. That's the wake-up call. You don't need more time. What you need is more decisions. One clear, committed choice to act today. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just honestly. Pick one thing you've been putting off, do it. Send the email, open the book, apply for the opportunity, clean the room. It doesn't matter what the task is, only that it's been lingering. Plato believed that discipline is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. Your future self is not built on dreams alone. It is built on what you begin, what you stick with, and what you finish. There is a quiet kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from not deciding what to do at all. You sit with a choice for days, maybe weeks, sometimes months. You overthink it, revisit it, ask for opinions, weigh the pros and cons so many times that the paper tears. And in the meantime, nothing moves. You stay stuck. Here's the trap no one talks about: waiting feels safe. But really, it's where dreams go to die slowly and silently. The Stoics were crystal clear about this. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And indecision is one of the biggest ways we waste it. It feels like buying time, but you are really just burning it. Every time you say, "I'll decide later," the future you want moves further out of reach. Not because you aren't capable, but because you didn't choose a direction. Aristotle once said, "Choice, not chance, determines your destiny." He understood that action is what makes potential real. Thinking has value, planning has merit, but eventually you have to pick a lane. The longer you linger at the crossroads, the harder it becomes to move at all. And that hesitation turns into regret faster than most people realize. Let me ask you this: how many times have you told yourself, "I'll decide soon," only to watch the opportunity slip away? Maybe it was a job offer, maybe a relationship, maybe just the moment you needed to speak up for yourself. And here's what stings even more. What's worse than making the wrong decision? Making no decision at all. At least with action, you learn, you grow, you move. But indecision keeps you circling the same spot. You wear grooves into the ground, but never take a single step forward. Carl Jung once noted, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And often, that's what indecision hides. We are not always afraid of the choice. We're afraid of owning the outcome. We are afraid of responsibility. Afraid that if we make the wrong move, we'll have no one to blame but ourselves. But here's the shift: you can handle it. Even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, you are built for forward motion. It's easy to forget that just because someone can reach you at any time, that doesn't mean they should. At some point, we began treating our phones like emergency hotlines. Our inboxes became command centers. We started behaving like customer service agents who never go off duty. The pings, the red dots, the unread messages, they don't just ask for your time, they take it. Little by little, you give away your peace, one response at a time. And before long, you are burnt out. Not because you are doing too much, but because you are available too often. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." In today's world, doing less starts with being less accessible. It means recognizing that not every question needs an immediate answer. Not every demand is your responsibility. We've confused availability with dependability, but truthfully, constant access makes you scattered. You can't think clearly when your attention is being pulled in 20 different directions. You can't focus when the world has a 24-hour backstage pass to your mind. Carl Jung also said, "Solitude is where one discovers one is not alone." Solitude doesn't mean isolation. It means reclaiming space. It means protecting your mind from the constant flood of information. It means giving your inner voice the room it needs to speak. And that voice, it's still there, waiting patiently to be heard. When you're replying out of guilt or scrolling out of habit, you're not in control. Plato once described the soul as being pulled in different directions like a chariot led by wild horses. That's what modern life feels like, everyone and everything pulling at your time, your energy, and your attention. But the real question is this: who is holding the reins? If you're not choosing where your focus goes, someone else is choosing for you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "We should discipline ourselves in small things and from there proceed to greater." So start small. Say no to one thing, mute one conversation, block the noise that doesn't serve you. You are not a search engine. You are not on call for the entire internet. You are a human being with a limited amount of focus and a life that deserves your full presence. There is pressure in the air we all breathe. Go faster, do more, be everywhere. If you're not grinding, you are falling behind. If you're not hustling, you're wasting potential. That's the message we're fed day in and day out. But very few people ever stop to ask, where exactly are we rushing to? And more importantly, why Stoicism is not against effort. The Stoics were not passive or lazy. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Epictetus taught despite living with physical pain. But none of them believed in blind motion. They believed in deliberate action. Thoughtful steps, not just doing, but understanding why you're doing it. Seneca said it clearly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And isn't that the truth? Because when you are always rushing, what you lose is your ability to be present. You miss the view. You forget what brought you to the path in the first place. Hustle becomes habit, and not in a healthy way. One day you wake up and realize you've been sprinting in circles, chasing something unclear, with no real finish line in sight. Aristotle believed that virtue lies in moderation, not in excess. So when ambition turns into obsession and action turns into frenzy, you're not building a life anymore. You're reacting to the fear of standing still. Stillness is not the enemy. In fact, it is often where your best decisions are made. Carl Jung once said, "Hurry is not of the devil, it is the devil." That constant pressure, that non-stop rush, it steals clarity, depth, and meaning. If you're always rushing, you don't get to choose your direction. You're just trying not to trip. And that's not really living, that's just surviving. Plato believed the good life requires knowing what's truly valuable and refusing to trade it for cheap substitutes. Hustling without purpose is one of those substitutes. It feels like progress, but often it's just a clever form of distraction. So pause, reflect, ask yourself honestly, what am I chasing and is it worth it? Are you climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall? Are you filling your time with busyness to avoid the deeper questions? The Stoics would challenge you to slow down, not to stop, but to think, to act with intention, to move with wisdom, because life isn't about how fast you can go. It's about whether you're going in the right direction. There's something strange we do as humans. We hold on to pain like it's proof. Proof that we were wronged. Proof that it mattered. Proof that we survived. And sometimes that pain takes the shape of a grudge. A quiet, bitter little flame we carry even when we no longer need the fire. We keep burning inside, thinking it gives us strength. But the truth is, it doesn't give us power. It drains it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." In other words, do not carry someone else's behavior in your body. Do not let what someone did to you become something you keep doing to yourself. Because that is what grudges become, self-inflicted wounds over and over again. Aristotle taught that anger is easy, but holding it the right way for the right reason at the right time, that is hard. Most of us are not even doing that. We're just stockpiling it. Bitterness becomes our armor. Resentment becomes our identity. We start defining ourselves not by who we are, but by what hurt us. And that is a dangerous way to live. Carl Jung put it simply, what you resist persists. The more you push anger down, the more it controls you. The more you replay the moment, the deeper it grows roots. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. It is about saying, I am done letting this follow me everywhere I go. Think about it. The person who hurt you may not even remember what they did. They have moved on. They are living their life. Meanwhile, you are dragging their mistake around like a bag of bricks with their name stitched on the side. You carry it into conversations, into your sleep, into new relationships, and every time it slows you down. The Stoics would call this wasted energy. Seneca said, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. He understood that resentment does not stay only in your mind. It settles in your body and your breath, in the way you speak, and in how you show up in the world. Let it go. Free that space in your soul. Make room for something better. Peace is not found in holding on. It is found in learning how to release. And you are strong enough to do it. There is a kind of war going on around us, not with weapons, but with attention. Your mind is the battlefield, and every headline, every notification, every dramatic post is trying to win a piece of it. If you are not careful, you give it away. Not just your time, but your peace, your clarity, your ability to think and feel for yourself. One minute you are calm, sipping your coffee. The next you've scrolled through 5 angry tweets and read 2 sensational headlines. Now your mood has shifted. You are stressed about things you cannot control involving people you do not even know. That is not just distraction. That is manipulation. Sometimes it comes from people close to you, friends, family, coworkers. Voices that don't lift you up but pull you down. They stir drama, feed the fire, and leave you feeling drained. The Stoics had a word for inner steadiness, apatheia. It does not mean apathy or indifference. It means not being controlled by every emotional storm. It is the ability to remain steady in chaos, rooted in your values, not in someone else's noise. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That line still resonates, especially today, in a world that profits from your outrage. Socrates warned against being swayed by public opinion. He believed in living a life guided by inner wisdom, not outside pressure. But today, that outside pressure is louder than ever. It lives in your pocket. It flashes across your screen. It whispers in your ear from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep. And every time you react without thinking, you hand over a piece of your sovereignty. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you let your emotions be shaped by algorithms, when your self-worth is tied to likes and comments, you stop living consciously. You become reactive instead of reflective. Let's be honest. Some people feel heavier than peace ever should. You talk to them and afterward, it feels like someone reached inside you and pulled the energy right out. Not because they yelled at you or said anything cruel, but because their presence constantly drains more than it gives. And yet, we keep them close. Why? Because it feels polite. Because we've known them forever. Because we are afraid of being alone. But here's the truth. Not everyone belongs in your inner circle. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Trust is not something you hand out simply because someone has been around. It is something you give deliberately with care. The Stoics understood this well. True friendship was sacred. Seneca advised associate with those who will make a better man of you. Not louder, not flashier, better. Carl Jung expanded on this when he said, "The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." So ask yourself, what are you being transformed into? Are your interactions shaping you into a more grounded, calm, and focused version of yourself? Or are you walking away anxious, irritated, and unsure? Plato taught that the soul is influenced by the company it keeps. He wasn't only talking about character, he was also talking about energy. The emotional environment around you matters. If you are surrounded by chaos, you will start to live in reaction. If you constantly have to explain yourself, justify your choices, or shrink to make others comfortable, your spirit will start to wear down. That is why protecting your energy is not selfish. It is wise. You would not leave your front door wide open all night. So why leave your mind and heart open to anyone with a clever story or a familiar face? Socrates believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. That includes your relationships. Who are you spending your time with? Who gets your deepest thoughts, your vulnerabilities, your dreams? Are they worthy of that trust? Or have they simply been grandfathered and act accordingly? Your energy is sacred, and the people closest to you shape your future more than you realize. Guard that space like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. No one walks lighter than the one who has let go of what no longer belongs. Peace is not found in the next achievement. It is found in the silence that follows release. The sooner you stop carrying what was never yours to hold, the sooner you become who you were meant to be. If this spoke to you, there is another message waiting for you, one that will take you even deeper. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. Your time and your presence matter. And whenever you are ready to return for more stillness, clarity, and truth, we will be right here. Letting go of what no longer serves you is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. Carrying resentment, grudges, or unnecessary relationships weighs down your mind and spirit more than you realize. The Stoics taught us that peace isn't found in controlling the world, but in mastering ourselves. So if you find yourself constantly reacting, whether it's to people, news, or negativity, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Are these thoughts or people helping me become who I want to be? You don't have to respond to every message, carry every burden, or explain yourself to everyone. Not everyone deserves access to your time, attention, or emotional space. Begin small. Say no where you once said yes out of guilt. Limit the voices that drain your energy. Protect your mental environment as seriously as you protect your home. Let go of old anger, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Your energy is sacred. Choose who and what gets it. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this and you'll begin to move through life with clarity, strength, and the quiet confidence of someone finally in control.